You're watching Adorama TV.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Adorama TV. This week we're going to be talking about tripods, specifically how to choose the tripod that's right for you. So to do that, you really want to start with the legs. That's the base that you're going to be working with. Now, different legs have different features, but one of the main things you need to be concerned with is how much weight they'll support and how tall those legs are. So depending on how you're going to use your tripod, if you're going to be traveling on a plane a lot, you can get away with much smaller legs and ones that aren't going to support quite as much weight. If you're in the studio or on location shooting scenic photography, you probably need to get some legs that are a little bit beefier. And there's all different types, but you can look on the Adorama website or come to the store and we'll have people there to walk you through it. So once you have your legs, there's some other things that you need to look for. For example, on this Manfrotto tripod, and this guy is the 190 Pro B, this guy has the ability to basically move the legs independent of each other. So if you're working on uneven ground, this is sort of called a Rocky Mountain leg, you can stick it out, adjust it to maybe the side of a mountain or something, and get it to different configurations that way. So look for a tripod that'll allow you to do that. And then the other thing is you need to look at how long this shaft is in the bottom of your tripod, because if you want to get your tripod really low to the ground, that's going to limit you to that amount. So some tripods allow you to remove this so you only have a couple of inches, others don't. And so this one doesn't allow you to do that. So as close as you can get to the ground is going to be about a foot. But the reason this one doesn't is because it has a really nice feature that's not common on all tripods. A lot of the Manfrottos have this though, and that is if you want to get out over a ledge or something with the legs, you can just push this up and it'll pop right over there. So then you can have your camera out that way. So that's a really, really nice feature. So once you have your legs selected, well then you need to put a head on top of that. And this has a threaded top with some screws that will make sure that your head stays secure. And there are two very basic types of heads that I recommend. There are more different types of heads than that, but these are the two most common. And the first one is a head that looks similar to this. This is called a ball head. So I'm going to put this on my tripod really fast. So the head and the legs just screw together. And then if I really wanted to secure this, I'd have some screws underneath to make sure that this didn't unscrew. But this is it's called a ball head with a quick release plate. So if I put a camera on here, what I can do is, it just snaps right on there. The ball head allows the camera to move pretty freely. And so if I'm shooting things like portraits or in the studio shooting people or kids, a ball head is really what I would highly recommend. It's what I use almost every single day because it gives me so much freedom to move. Now for scenic photographers, some scenic photographers, they don't like the ball head because they have a difficult time making panoramas because it doesn't keep the camera level. Well, with a ball head like this one actually has a panorama option to it, so I can loosen another one of these dials here, and then I can move my camera left and right. And so I can get that panorama just like another type of head called a three-way head, which we're going to talk to you about in a second. So the other thing that's really important when you're selecting a head is the plate. Now the plate is the thing that screws to the bottom of your camera, and they're all different kinds. So on this Manfrotto, you need a Manfrotto brand plate that goes to the bottom, and then this is a quick release plate. And so what that means is it snaps right in, and then it locks instantly. Now, something that's a gotcha is if you get one of these quick release plates, make sure that you buy a tripod head that has a safety on it. So this one, I can't actually take the camera off unless I pull on two different levers at the same time, and then it comes off. Now that's really important because if you don't have that, you can accidentally knock your camera off and then you'll have some damage to your camera, which you don't want. So make sure that you check to see if it has a safety on it because you don't want to have that happen. And I've seen that happen before where somebody's bought an inexpensive tripod and they've caused several $100 of damage to their camera. So that's what you have. You've got your legs, you've got your head. Make sure that your head is going to be rated for different weights as well, just like your legs. So again, look at your camera, see how much it weighs, and then figure out any lenses that you might be putting on their flash. Total that up, and your head needs to be rated for the same amount of weight as your camera. Okay, let me show you one other really popular type of head, and it's called a three-way head. And I've got one over here, and it's pretty beefy. It's actually probably a little bit too big for these legs, but that's okay because we're not putting any big heavy cameras on there. This three-way head is called a three-way head because it actually has 3 adjustments. So you can move your camera left and right like this. You can move it up and down this way, And again, it's got that nice panorama level so you can move around like that. Now the nice thing with this guy is, again, it's got a quick release plate, so I can pull that out. It's got a really nice big beefy plate to it for a medium format or a really large camera. And then that snaps right on there. And then this also has the safety on it, so you can't actually take this off unless you push with 2 fingers. So that's something that I really highly recommend, is that you get a safety on there. So that's a 3-way head, and there's all different types of configurations of 3-way heads. What I would recommend is that you look for a few things with the 3-way head. Specifically, a good 3-way head is going to have levels. So this has a level built in right here, a bubble level, and then this has another level right here. So if you're shooting scenic photography, a good 3-way head is going to allow you to get your camera perfectly level, no matter which way the tripod legs are configured, and then you'll be able to do some panoramas and things like that. So I highly recommend a 3-way head for those guys that are shooting outside doing scenic work, but not so much for portrait photography, because it takes just a little bit too long to adjust it to a person, and by the time you do, they've moved. So use a ball head when you're shooting people. Okay, so let's talk about these 2 tripods I have out here right now. Because some of you are going to be headed out on vacation and you need a really nice lightweight travel tripod, and we have that for you here. This guy right here is a this is a Manfrotto. It's a 190X Pro B. So it's an aluminum tripod, and it's very, very lightweight. You can get it in a kit with a really nice lightweight ball head or a 3-way head. We have lots of kits at Adorama, and so I would recommend that you choose the head that's best for you and get that. If you need something that's really, really lightweight and it's going to be put into a bag and flown around the country or maybe overseas, and you need every single spare inch of room that you need, then I highly recommend Benro's Travel Angels. Now the Travel Angels, I've actually used this. Last year I was on tour with Pocket Wizard, and I had a Benro 269. This is a 069 aluminum. There's the 169 and then there's a 269. And the higher numbers mean more weight. And the 269, it actually was about this tall, so about 5.5 feet. And I was able to put a 6.5, 7-pound camera on it with no problem at all. It was very, very secure. Now the thing I like about these Benros is that they have a ball head on there, so you can move that around. It's an Arca Swiss type plate, and what that means is they're non-proprietary, so you can use the plate that comes with the tripod, or let's say you have something like a really right stuff bracket. Well, those are also Arca Swiss, so they'll go right onto your tripod as well. And so you can mix and match plates and this head pretty easily. Now the other thing that's really, really nice about this tripod that makes it a winner for me is its ability to be compacted really, really short. So I'm going to shrink this really fast and show you how small this tripod becomes. Okay, so when you have the legs done, this middle column comes up, and these legs actually come up inverse like this. And so what that does is it gives you this really, really tiny tripod. So you can put that into your bag. It's super lightweight, so it'll travel well with you. And again, they have 3 different versions in the aluminum, and they also have carbon fiber. And so if you're a heavy traveler, I highly recommend the Benro. It's what I use when I'm traveling and flying in and out of airports all over the place. So again, there's the 069, the 169, and the 269. All 3 have ball heads that are rated to the legs themselves, so it makes it really, really easy to get a tripod that's perfect for you. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time for this episode of Adorama TV. But remember, if you have a question about photography or photography-related gear, you can send that stuff to me at askmark@adorama.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center, where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store, located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.